Hey language lovers, welcome back to Language Lounge, where learning is always fun and exciting. Remember last time? We jumped into the world of relative pronouns, and trust me, it was a game changer. In part 1, we covered what relative pronouns are with super simple examples, the difference between common and compound types, and we cleared up all the confusion around who versus whom. Finally, missed that video? No worries. Hit pause, go watch it now, and come back smarter. Today, we are diving into 3 more powerful relative pronouns whose, which, and that. Get ready because by the end of this, you will be using them like a pro. Alright, let's jump into whose. We use whose when we are talking about people, animals, or even things. Basically, when we need to show ownership or possession. Now, here's a quick example. The artist whose paintings we saw is very talented. Let's break it down together. Whose tells us the paintings belong to the artist. It connects the artist to their paintings, showing possession. Easy, right? Whenever you want to link someone or something to what they own, whose is your go-to word. Let's slow down and really break the sentence together. Our sentence is, the artist whose paintings we saw is very talented. First, let's find the main clause. What part can stand alone and still make sense? The artist is very talented. See, even without extra details, it's a complete thought. Now, what about the relative clause? Whose paintings we saw? This part gives us more information about which artist we are talking about. What's the action happening inside the relative clause? It's saw. We saw the paintings. Quick check. Who saw the paintings? We did. Not the artist. We are the ones doing the action. And finally, what does whose do here? It connects the artist to the paintings, showing that the paintings belong to the artist. Let's talk about which. We use which for animals and things, never for people, alright? Now, what does which actually do? It can be the subject or the object in a relative clause. Let's check out 2 quick examples. Say them with me. Subject, the car which is parked outside is mine. Object, the cake which I baked is delicious. Now, let's break these down together. First example, the car which is parked outside is mine. Here, which is the subject of the relative clause, which is parked outside. It gives us extra info about which car, the one parked outside. And notice the car which is doing the action is parked. So, which acts as the subject. Second example, the cake which I baked is delicious. In this case, which is the object of the relative clause, which I baked. Who baked the cake? I did. So here, I am the subject, and which, the cake, is receiving the action. Which isn't doing anything. It's having something done to it, being baked. Quick recap. If which is doing something, it's the subject. If something is happening to which, it's the object. Understanding which in sentences. The word which can be used in 2 different ways in sentences, in restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. The difference between them affects both the meaning and the punctuation of the sentence. Restrictive use of which. When which is used in a restrictive clause, it provides essential information. It tells us exactly which one we are talking about. Without this part of the sentence, the meaning would be unclear. Important, do not use commas with restrictive clauses. Example, the book which you gave me is amazing. This sentence tells us that out of possibly many books, the one you gave me is amazing. That detail is necessary to understand which book we are referring to. Non-restrictive use of which. In contrast, when which is used in a non-restrictive clause, it adds extra information that isn't essential to the main point of the sentence. The sentence would still make sense without it. Important. Use commas around non-restrictive clauses. Example, the book which you gave me is amazing. Here, the main point is simply that the book is amazing. The part which you gave me adds extra detail but isn't necessary to identify the book. Summary, restrictive, needed information. No commas. Non-restrictive, extra detail. Use commas. Let's talk about the relative pronoun that. What does that do? Well, that introduces essential information about a noun. This type of information is called a restrictive clause, and it's important because without it, the sentence wouldn't make complete sense. When should we use that? We use that when we are referring to people, animals, things, or groups to help specify or clarify which one we mean. And not to use it? Don't use that in non-defining clauses. Those just add extra information and are set off with commas. That is only for defining or restrictive clauses. Important rule, never put a comma before that. Since the information is necessary, commas aren't needed. Examples, correct one, the book that you lent me is great. Incorrect, the book that you lent me is great. The word that is a relative pronoun used to connect a noun to more information in a sentence. It can play different roles in the relative clause. That as the subject. When that is the subject, it does the action in the clause. Example, the cake that tastes best is chocolate. Here, that refers to cake and is doing the action of tasting. That as the object. Sometimes that receives the action in the clause. Example, the movie that we watched was amazing. In this case, that refers to movie and is the thing we watched. That with a preposition. That can replace phrases like about which, for which, or in which to make the sentence easier and smoother. The preposition typically goes at the end. Example, the topic that we talked about was serious. Here, that replaces about which, simplifying the sentence. Without that, it would be more formal. The topic about which we talked was serious. The relative pronoun that is used in both formal and everyday informal English, but how we use it can change depending on the style. Formal style, know that. In formal writing, we often use phrases like about which with prepositions. Example, the topic about which we talked was serious. Here, the preposition about comes before which is more traditional and proper. Second, everyday style, using that. In everyday language, we use that instead of which or about which, and the preposition moves to the end. Example, the topic that we talked about was serious. This sounds more natural in casual conversation and writing. Please note, don't use commas with that in restrictive clauses when the information is essential. In formal writing, use which with commas for non-restrictive clauses. Formal, the book which I borrowed was interesting. Informal, the book that I borrowed was interesting. And with that, we wrap our discussion on the common relative pronouns. But don't worry, we are not done yet. In our next video, we are going to jump into some fun, hands-on exercises and activities to help you practice everything we have covered today. These activities will give you a chance to put your knowledge into action and see how well you can use relative pronouns in different situations. What's coming up next? In the video after that, we'll be exploring compound relative pronouns. They are a bit different from the ones we have discussed and will show you exactly how to use them. So, stay tuned for more exciting learning ahead. Before you leave, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We would love to hear what you think. Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts, feedback, or any questions you have. Your review helps us improve and make better content for you. See you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. Bye for now.